South Korea is now experiencing its own golden age, recovering from its rough political setbacks as a product of their difficult past from their neighboring countries. The last 25 to 30 years have been a strong, empowering period for the country itself, as they lifted heavy censorship on their own media, comparing it to other countries that currently have similar and severe censorship, such as China and North Korea. The nation, home of Samsung, has also become one of the most internet-savvy countries as of early 2019. They had launched their first 5G network, and to prove how the country is so connected, their very own messenger app KakaoTalk has up to 49 million monthly active users. Like its own strong economic presence, being the 12th richest economy in the world, the nation is the home of a very rich and colorful culture, showing how vibrant the country is from its worldwide spread of their music genre, K-pop, to its strong presence in the esports community, and even their wonderful culinary dishes. But now with the country being more connected than ever, similar to Japan's anime culture, adopted by more of the Western fans, we're now seeing a similar yet more toxic group of people from the fandoms of Korea's pop culture, K-pop, or as we know them, the K-pop stans. In K-pop, when you stan something, you usually obsess over a certain figure so much to a point where you might actually listen to all their albums and buy all their merchandise. That's just a misconception of the term's origins. If you want to get into detail, it can mean two different things when you really dig deep into it. We can see, number one, a stan can mean on the surface a very big fan of an artist or group, and two, an obsessive toxic fan. This term stan originated from the song by Eminem called Stan, which tells the story of a fan called Stan who ruins his life obsessing over the rapper in the most destructive way possible. In Korea, there is already a term called sasang behavior. In a way, you can even link it to Stan, the fan from the music video, to a sasang fan. But what exactly is it meant by sasang behavior? From what we have looked up, it is stated sasang behavior can be seen as a type of behavior that can be obsessive to an extent, even being a stalker, leading to an invasion of the privacy of a Korean idol, or any other public figure. An example of this would be when BTS was filming in Sweden. They stopped at a cafe to grab a bite to eat and unwind from a tough day of filming, when a group of sasang fans were watching and waiting outside for the boys to emerge. Unsettled by this, the cameramen decided to step outside and ask them to move. Instead of actually moving, the fans pretended to leave but started chasing after the boys when they came outside. You may already know this nation is known, among many things, as a country where people who have a job tend to overwork a lot. Well, idols are not the exception. The K-pop industry is a really tiring world. As a result, many idols end up falling into depression, with health issues, lack of sleep, following strict diets, etc. Then how hard is their lifestyle to make them suffer all those problems, especially as a K-pop idol? First of all, I want to make sure you all understand what exactly does lifestyle mean.
Lifestyle. The habits, the attitudes, tastes, moral standards, economic level, etc. That together constitutes the mode of living of an individual or group.
Now, that is explained. Let us begin with their busy schedules. For most of us, the busiest we've all been is maybe during our college or school or university life, preparing for our final exams or coursework. In contrast, this in itself is nothing compared to what a Korean idol faces on their daily to weekly routines. But even before they're an established Korean idol, the anticipation and training that goes into that itself should make us grateful for how much time we have for ourselves. Here's an example of an average schedule for a K-pop trainee. 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., morning exercise and getting ready for school. 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., classes. 1:30 p.m. to 2 p.m., work on homework. 2:30 to 12:30 a.m., training, eating, meetings, all included in that time duration. 12:30 to 2 a.m., personal practices. 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., sleep. 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., morning exercises and getting ready for school. The worst part is that you'll never know if you'll ever get the chance to debut. So you can imagine doing this for 8 years and not being able to debut. It's honestly demoralizing. Some entertainment companies may decide to kick you out if they find you're no longer fit to become a star. Even if you do end up debuting, it could take years. Jo Kwon from the boy band 2AM had to train for 8 years before officially debuting as an idol group member. K-pop idols are also known to limit their intake and follow strict diet plans, especially before an appearance. Some even take extreme diet plans that it seems almost impossible to accomplish. An example of this is Top, a well-known member of the group Big Bang. He had auditioned for YG Entertainment but had failed due to being too chubby. As a result of the failure, he had worked out immensely and had lost 44 pounds of weight within 2 months. Here are a few examples of a couple of K-pop idols' extreme diet plans. The paper cup diet. Fill a small disposable cup with anything you can stuff it in with. Put some whole grain, fruit, and vegetables. By doing so, they can still taste any food they want. The very controlled proportion of the food keeps them in shape. The one food diet. This diet is pretty simple to understand. You just pick one low-calorie food and stick it to the whole day. You might get sick of eating the same food every day. The watermelon diet. Park Bomb of 21 used this diet in order to lose some weight fast. Watermelon consists mainly of water and is said to help to curb the appetite while getting the essential vitamins for the body. South Korea is believed to be the plastic surgery capital of the world. In Korea, plastic surgery is not just about being normal or passable, but about moving forward and being above normal for Koreans. With more than 600 clinics in Seoul alone. In a 2011 report, the International Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery estimated that nearly 650,000 cosmetic surgeries have been performed in South Korea that year. South Korea's international plastic surgery clientele has expanded significantly as well. About 50,000 foreign patients received plastic surgery in the country last year, paying a collective sum of $189 million for double eyelid surgery, double jaw surgery, and other various facial and body modifications. Normalizing its use for everyone from young teens to older looking adults for anti-aging solutions, the nation has boasted that it has the highest number of cosmetic procedures per capita worldwide, and is showing no signs of stopping. It has now become a staple in Korean culture, preferably more towards the icons and stars. It has most likely seeped into many K-pop idols, which in most cases have been obvious when comparing older photos of themselves when they were younger, but very rarely do you see many of these idols admit that they had plastic surgery. Undoubtedly, one of the very few K-pop idols who proudly admitted to having his whole face done is Kwang Hee from ZA. He openly discusses it on many TV shows, and he even became the spokesperson for a plastic surgery clinic. One case of a hardcore K-pop fan who had plastic surgery from abroad was a British fan who spent more than $100,000 on plastic surgery to look like a BTS member. The BTS member in question being Jimin. Over the past 5 years, he spent £75,000 on cosmetic procedures to look like the K-pop star and BTS member. I want my entire lifestyle to revolve around K-pop, and I want my entire look to look like Jimin. For me, he is perfection, as quoted by the 28-year-old Oli London of his peculiar obsession. Some may argue that K-pop stans really and truly appeared near the end of 2017 and the majority of 2018, but many of us question, where did these users come from? The K-pop fandom has been a big figure on the internet for a while, but many of the more obsessive and intense fandoms can really be found on the forums and the page we dare not to speak of. Tumblr. Even though we can't really put the full blame on Tumblr with the ban on at the end of 2018, we did see a much more consistent growth of searches for Twitter K-pop, hinting to us that some of those users migrated to Tumblr. If that's the case, then it really explains the chaotic year we've had with K-pop stans and Twitter in 2019. With the ever-growing fandom being a bigger and bigger presence, you could say that the Twitter fandom has even isolated themselves from other K-pop fans, which aren't as active or woke as they're perceived from many user posts and opinions posted about them. Here are a few examples.
So, I've been on Twitter stan for a good while. I mostly stay because of my friends, but dude, I have never wanted to punch people as bad as I do when I'm scrolling through Twitter. Most K-pop Twitter stans are so woke and go with any mainstream opinion, even if they're completely ignorant on the subject, and decide to have a mob mentality without hearing the other person out. Like with Lana, the ignorance when it came to her and the subject of colorism was top notch. Or when they accuse some lesser known groups of culture appropriation, but completely disregard it when their favorites do the same thing. With that being said, I don't exactly believe in cultural appropriation, but that's a different story. Also the fan cams. I'm still confused why people post them in arguments or in tragic situations. I know some are trolls, but other people genuinely think they are doing something when they post these.
Slowly, they already are. They make the rest of us K-pop fans look bad too.
This is why I deactivated my account. Some people really get on my nerves, and I want them to choke on a cactus. This is why some people stay away from K-pop.
It's the main reason I stay away. The fan cams are the most annoying parts.
At this point, this isn't really an unpopular opinion. A lot of people agree with this now. But I honestly agree with you. It's a hellhole there, and it really makes you a negative person. People really need to find a better hobby.
With these examples, it gives us an insight and helps give us an image that not all K-pop stans and fans are bad people. But like with everything, one certain set of people with similar and hostile mindsets will really ruin it for everyone else. Earlier in December, we got to see a perfect example of this, which really tells us how two wrongs don't make a right. In December 2019, Ethan Klein discussed the 2019 YouTube Rewind on his podcast. Upon seeing BTS mentioned in the video, Ethan Klein of H3H3 remarked,
I'll sit in silence.
BTS? I don't get the BTS thing. I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't like K-pop. I hate K-pop. I don't get BTS.
K-pop?
They look like they're just a bunch of... How did this become a thing in Western culture where all these grown men and little girls are jacking off to little K-pop boys? It's like a little fetish. It's like a little twink fetish about these K-pop boys.
Does Ian have an insight on K-pop?
The comments swiftly led to anger from the K-pop fanbase on Twitter, who started the hashtag H3H3IsOverParty to counter Klein's description of the K-pop fans.
H3H3 is over party is not trending because we're mad he doesn't like K-pop. It's because he said homophobic and xenophobic things about K-pop and about young girls. Sounds a bit gross to me. There's a difference between having an opinion and being a total. If he had simply said, K-pop isn't my thing, I would brush it off. But being a straight up and talking about minors in that way does not get a pass from me. Hashtag H3H3 is over party.
Klein responded by saying,
"That face when K-pop stans are trying to take the moral high ground over a joke but are responsible for the dozens of suicides of K-pop idols because of their online abuse?"
referring to the two recent suicides of K-pop idols. After this incident, you could say that the domino effect had begun to kick in, with now a new hashtag. Ban K-pop accounts became one of the most popular hashtags on Twitter for the majority of the week of the incident itself. This has highlighted the rest of Twitter having enough of K-pop stans. Many of these recent cases would involve users flooding into other posts and hashtags on Twitter, now appearing as spam for most users, and even harassment to recently deceased famous figures. With the recent incident with H3, Keemstar had stated a valid point about how some K-pop fan accounts have a habit of spamming praise for their favorite idols in unrelated threads. It unfortunately went as far as defacing memorial threads on Twitter. K-pop stans posted offensive tweets saying that if the dead celebrity had stanned a certain K-pop idol, they would be alive along with a fan cam of the K-pop idol in question dancing. Notable celebrities that were disrespected in this were Etika, Stan Lee, and Juice WRLD. These are not the only instances, however, as this has been going on for a year now with every celebrity death. It still goes on to this day, with some cases having the phrase, "If you stand for X, Y, you wouldn't be dead." Despite the toxic nature of some K-pop stans, we can say that the fandom does not reflect the product, and the fandom doesn't represent the artists themselves. The genre itself generally sends a positive message, and their personalities are usually quite clean, with many cases of the artists getting involved with charities. BTS especially had become advocates against youth violence, with them even having a 3-minute speech in front of the UN in 2017 that also worked with UNICEF's global end violence movement. Even though many of these artists stay vigilant in through their charitable actions and general public image, the very small group of Sasang fans which share the same negative and toxic traits as their counterpart, the Twitter stans, really ruined the general image and message that these artists work hard for. We can never truly blame the artists. Rather, the fault lies between this modern era in which information is so easy to access, leaving these artists lacking a personal and private life. One of our final examples And a small story which I want you to keep in mind is a case with the artist by the name of Jae-Jung. He thought he was simply taking a nice break at a sauna, but it turned out it would instead turn into a bit of a nightmare. During his time there, a Sasang fan snuck up on Jae-Jung. Meanwhile, he was completely oblivious to the fact that the fan was there since he was fast asleep. The fan quickly snapped a photo and posted it on many international fan boards with the caption, "Jae-Jung is now sleeping in a sauna." If that wasn't already bad enough, she even bragged that she kissed him while he was asleep. The general message we want to leave with you is that K-pop idols are like Hollywood idols in the case that we need to respect their private lives. Some of the Twitter stans must acknowledge that they're human as well, but we can't attack a person by the name of whatever stan we choose for. You can say the only thing we must all embrace is our different interests and fandoms and be accepting of each other. At the end of the day, we're all human beings.